Do you ever just look at the price of lures nowadays and wonder, is that really worth the price they're charging? For example, the Manifold De Niro Yugo Frame 550 glide bait is a 21-inch, 43-ounce leather swim bait that retails for, would you look at that? $8.99, what a steal. Obviously, I'm joking. There is no way a lure of any type is worth that kind of money, especially with that one being so heavy, it's practically unfishable. But how about the Megabass Vision 110 jerkbait, arguably the most popular one among tournament anglers worldwide? That thing retails at $24.99, which is still a lot of money for a jerkbait. But to some people, it's worth it. So in today's video, I'm gonna discuss the topic of expensive lures, talk about a few that I've purchased over the years, some good investments, some really bad. And then to finish, I'm gonna talk about my most recent expensive swim bait purchase and why, even at a retail price of $60, I would buy this thing over and over and over again. And we're gonna show you why with some awesome fish catches. My name's Tyler, and welcome to another episode of TRF Tackle Time. This is the G-Flag 150 soft glide bait, the lure that I said I'd be fine paying the $60 price tag for over and over and over again. I'm gonna explain why this lure is worth it, at least for me, later on in this video, why I find value in it. But I first wanna talk about the topic of expensive lures, first by discussing the producer side, why companies charge what they charge, and on the consumer side, why actual fishermen will buy certain priced lures. And the first reason why companies charge what they charge is because the product actually costs them close to that much to make. Take, for example, the Outcast Tackle Juice Jig. This standard Arky style jig here retails for $5.99, which is a pretty competitive average jig price. Now, how do they get to the price of $5.99? Well, the jig materials themselves, once you source all the skirt, the head, putting the lead on the hook, you're probably at around $1, $1.50. Then you have packaging, then you have shipping, and then you have warehousing. And so you're up to like $2.50, $3, maybe at a minimum on each individual jig. And that's before you either sell it directly to consumer or you actually give it to a retailer like Tackle Warehouse or Omnia or Fishing Tackle Online, you name it, to actually put their markup on it themselves. So as you can tell, there's really not a whole lot of profit in selling jigs because you really can't mark up the price that much or else nobody would buy it. That's the simple laws of supply and demand. I had no idea I'd be going into economics today, but here we are. Another example of a lure that I think is properly priced for how much it costs to produce is the River to Sea S Waiver glide bait. It's $18.99, which really, as far as glide baits are concerned, is not all that expensive. Yes, it is injection molded plastic. It's relatively standard paint colors, but once you have all the bigger materials of the tail and the rubber and the plastic and then the packaging and warehousing and the shelf space, I would say that glide bait is pretty fairly priced considering kind of the gambit of swim baits as a whole. And because the bass fishing lure market as a whole is overly saturated, I mean, there are tons of different lures that almost look exactly identical in the same genres. If you charge too much for your product, the consumer is going to go somewhere else. I have not seen a whole lot of price gouging in the lure sector. I'm sure it exists, but for the most part, I don't think companies would do that, as it is consumeristic suicide. Now, when price inflation does happen, usually it's due to tariffs or to increase in the price of goods, but it does happen sometimes just because research and development and the cost of products initially is crazy high, and so companies have to charge a higher price for usually a premium product in order to recoup that research and development cost. So I'm thinking about rods and reels, new braking systems on reels, all that kind of stuff, electronics, my Garmin's. The reason why quite a few fishing products are really expensive is because the companies have to charge that at least initially to make back their money. But of course, the way it all works, the price stays forever. For the most part, I think prices are relatively correct for what they should be charging. Now, how do you get to a $60 swim bait? And I'm gonna kind of talk about the swim bait category as a whole in this next section, the consumeristic side of things. Why do actual fishermen buy expensive lures? And the first reason is because a lot of people actually collect big swim baits, big glide baits. You see guys in their garage that have like 400, 500 glide baits hung up across the wall. You can't even throw that many in 1 year. And so to those guys, those swim baits hold value. I mean, there's cryptocurrency that doesn't exist and it holds value. So if artwork can hold value and if shoes can hold value, then fishing lures can as well. You may not be able to trade a big swim bait in the marketplace for a bag of lemons or a bushel of corn, but you sure as heck can hold value in it as long as somebody will buy it. It's the exact same thing is why sneakerheads stand in line for hours and hours and hours to get the brand new limited edition pair of shoes. That exact same thing happens happens in the swim bait fishing world when people wait for hours and hours for a drop on a website where the swim baits are $300, and those people are never going to even throw them. They're going to hold them or they're going to flip them for a higher resale price. But every angler has their own priorities, and so if you like collecting expensive swim baits, that is a reason, a valid reason for buying expensive products. So I would say if price gouging exists, which of course it does in some places, it really exists in the swim bait world because companies know collectors will buy those for super high prices. But in that case, they could charge even more than they already do. I think of my buddy Paul at Piz Swim Baits. He charges $300 per glide bait he makes, and people buy them and turn them around and flip them for $500, $600, $700 plus. And so he knows he could charge more, but he doesn't feel right going any higher than $300 because it costs him a lot of money and time to make each individual one by hand, and so that's the price he feels is worthy. Now, the second batch of consumers that buy expensive lures are guys that have a whole bunch of cash. They've got money burning a hole in their pocket, and they want to spend it on something nice. They want to have a good experience while they're fishing. I think of it as guys that drive a Porsche over a Toyota Camry. Both of those can get you the same place, but the Porsche is just more fun to drive. And in the bass fishing world, I think of this as guys that buy like a mega bass rod, like a $700 rod. Do you really need a rod that expensive? Absolutely not, but you want the highest quality components, you want the best feel, you want it to be strong yet light, and while there are better alternatives, at least for as far as price is concerned, some of those guys just want to have the nicest thing because they can. It's in the same vein as the guy who buys a big, expensive offshore boat with 6 outboard engines on it. You know why he couldn't have 7? Because the boat wouldn't fit it. And that brings us to the third category of anglers that buy expensive lures. Probably, for the most part, most of us fall into this category, which is we don't have money to blow. I mean, I've got a wife, a kid, and a house. I can't just go dropping $2,000 on an order of 3 swim baits. But for me, fishing is my job, and so I need a few nice things that I can depend on, that are gonna get bit, and that help me catch fish in the quickest amount of time possible. And this swim bait really does that for me. Now, if G-Flag rose the price on this to $100 or $120, would I still buy this? Probably not. That would kind of reach the point where it's like, dang, that's way too expensive. I mean, it helps me catch fish, it's effective on the water, but I don't really think it's worth that much. I'm gonna find another alternative to use. That's why I'm gonna be testing out this lure in subsequent videos to come. It is the Wasamono Gillsoft 130. It is half the price of the G-Flag 150, and supposedly it's another awesome soft plastic, shallow water focused bluegill imitating swim bait. And so if I like it, it's gonna replace the G-Flag because of course it's cheaper. And so for me as an angler and my angling needs, I have placed value on this specific lure because, like I said, it has helped me catch fish in certain scenarios when I really needed a bass to be caught. So I want to talk about 2 of those, at least that I can recollect in my mind relatively recently, and then I'm going to take you on the water and show you why I love this bluegill swim bait so much. Pond 72. It was an early summer day and I needed to catch a bass. I had caught maybe like a tiny little fish on a wacky rig or something early on in the pond, but in order to have a success in the 100 pond series, I needed to catch just 1 bass, and I wasn't satisfied with the tiny one that I caught. And so I pulled out this swim bait because I saw the water was clear, the water was shallow, there was aquatic vegetation, and the bass were feeding on bluegill. Matter of fact, I saw no other forage types in the pond. So there could have been bait fish, there could have been crawfish, but I saw an abundance of bluegill. And when I see that, I pull this bait out, and I can't always guarantee catching a fish, but I finished the episode off with the best fish I had caught in weeks because of how realistic this swim bait was. Oh, there's one. No way. No way. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. It worked. It stinking worked. Oh my gosh. Get over here. Get over here. Got to the shallower water where the strike zone was on the swim bait. Get it in here. Yes, sir. Yes. Oh my gosh. What a super skinny fish, but that is an awesome 3.5 pounder that ate the soft glide, baby. Oh my goodness, that is awesome. And the next example was crazy recently. It was Pond 122 in Iowa. And while I had already caught a bunch of fish and had a very successful pond on the Nico rig, I still wanted to catch a big fish because for me, again, in my job, catching big fish makes the videos more exciting for you guys, and as an angler, I just want to catch bigger fish. And so when I came across a bedfish that would not eat anything, but I kept seeing it chase bluegill off its area, I said, boy, do I have the lure for that, the most realistic, soft plastic bluegill swim bait that I've ever seen, and it's this thing. So I pulled it out, and on my first cast toward that area, the biggest bass in the pond ate.
Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Oh my gosh, got her, I got her. I got the giant on a swim bait, on a swim bait. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Holy cow, holy cow. Came and chased after it. Gosh, what a big one, what a big one. Get your face in here, get your face in here. Gosh. Come on, baby. Yes! And all it took was changing to the bluegill glide bait because I saw this bass was aggressively chasing down bluegills, and we got her. That's like a 4, I mean, maybe 4.5. My scale's all the way back here. I hope y'all could see that. I don't have a polarizer on this GoPro. I probably should for clear water like this. Let's go ahead and use our pliers to get the treble hook out. Thank you, G-Flag 150. Oh, big old northern strain chunk.
So again, to you, a $60 swim bait might not be a good investment at all because you're just fine going out there and throwing your stick bait around and catching bass and having a good time, just like I did at Pond 122. But I'm not satisfied with that. I want to catch the biggest bass possible, again, at the best price point that I can, and I've just found that having a few of these throughout the year, it makes my videos better, which of course makes my job more profitable. Now, because fishing is my job, I could make the business tax write-off excuse of, oh, I can just go buy $100, $200, $300 glide baits because it's a tax write-off, and you know what, I'll catch big fish on that. But I'm more frugal than that. I'm not just going to go blow money for the sake of having a business tax write-off. That's why this one for me is really the only expensive lure so far that I have found is really worth the money. And I'm not sponsored to say this. I bought all of these, or John, actually he probably gave me this one, but I personally have bought 3 of these things. That is $180 out of my bank account because I personally believe it's going to help me catch more fish and do my job better, which is to make awesome videos for you guys. Now, I'm sure at this point y'all are sick of hearing me talk about swim baits and not actually going to throw them myself. So let's get on the water and show you guys why I love this bait with a drone shot and test out the new Gillsoft a little bit to see if it looks at all similar and if I need to add it into my arsenal.
All right, so we've made it to the pond, and I'm going to show you guys what this thing looks like in the water. Again, I'm not making this video to try to sell you on this product. First of all, I couldn't sell that many anyways. They're out of stock everywhere. And this company, I repeat again, did not pay me any money. I just find value in this exact bait right here, even though it's upwards of $60+, maybe more depending on resellers. I just want to show you guys the action this thing has straight out of the box and then compare it to the Gillsoft 130 to see if this, for a much lower price, is one worth switching to. So right out of the box, this thing comes with a really good, just standard left and right retrieve. I'd say it's like a 4 to 6 inch swim on either side. And again, straight retrieve, it looks pretty dang good. You can really retrieve it super slow, left, right, left, right, left, right, or super fast. And again, when you're trying to make a really finicky fish bite, having the access to all these different types of retrieves in one bait is really crucial. So here, you'll see twitch, 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 twitch. Glides a lot further than just a straight retrieve. Definitely has a lot more erratic action, as you can see here again. It does not go side to side the same length each time I twitch. Now I'm gonna back the drone down here and see if I can show you guys my favorite thing about this lure. And that is that on a twitch stop retrieve, it turns around, which is a huge, huge aspect of bluegill swim baits. You want that bluegill to be evading the bass and then almost turning its head back around to face him like, come get me, man. And almost every time I do that with this bait and a bass is following it, you cannot help but strike it. Gosh, it did a full 360 just now. Goodness. Yeah, that's why I buy this thing. So now let's snip off the G-Flag 150 and break out this brand new one. And if I hold both up side to side, again, this is my first time holding it, definitely has more weight to this one. It feels like it has a plastic casing on the inside that holds this together, as opposed to this one, which is totally soft on the head. And they are both jointed here about the same location on the bait, but of course the Gillsoft has a paddle tail and the G-Flag does not. And I don't know if the treble hook here that comes on is supposed to sit behind the fins like this, or if it's supposed to actually jam into the plastic. Nah, there's no way it's supposed to be on those fins. No, you poke it in. You can put 2 treble hooks on the sides to give it a more weedless presentation. And I've heard if you put some weight in the bottom, it'll really sink down to the bottom and have the 2 treble hooks on the sides almost act as like stingers for a fish that comes to eat it this way. So I'm probably not gonna rig it that way, especially because even rigged the treble hooks on the top, that's still 2 treble hooks. And I'm fishing baits like this majority of the time in ponds that look like this. So I would rather just have to keep it higher up in the water column because the treble hook is on the bottom than try to get 2 of them on the sides, but who knows, I may try it out. And I was talking to the Swimbait legend, Mr. Jeffrey the King out from Arizona, and he told me to get the best gliding action out of this thing, again, because it's not necessarily a glide bait. It comes with a paddle tail, it's a hybrid. You wanna put some tungsten nail weights in, so this here is 16th ounce. He said you gotta find a location for it in the nose here, which I guess would be there. It's pretty well hidden, I like that. And I guess I poke the hook in there. Yeah, good to go. All right, first cast impressions with when a 1/16 ounce nail weight. It really hardly sinks at all. Let me go a straight retrieve on this thing. Oh, and it's much more skinny of a swim. I mean, it kind of looks more like you would expect having a boot tail. And if I try to twitch it, it really only goes one direction. It twitches this way and goes right. Maybe that's in the way that I rigged my weight. Although, man, it looks pretty centered to me. It could also be in the way that the hook is positioned on the bottom, because I'm not entirely sure if I did it right. Yeah, it always goes to the right. What? Swim right, swim right, swim right. All right, I've made the executive decision to put 1 more nail weight in. Make sure I go as straight as possible. Let's hope I'm not off-centered. How does she look now? And I mean, it does glide a little bit more, but still just to the same side. I can't get it to go the other way. It's like a buzzbait that's bent. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't like the way this head is totally rigid on the inside. It allows me to not pull this down to get it rigged any further back in the plastic down here. So far, G-Flag is winning even more than I thought it would. Let's see if maybe getting it down further in the water column, it kind of gives itself more freedom to do things. Nope. If I stop it, it goes that way. Weird. Well, at least I can show y'all how good of a boot tail it's got, even though it's sideways. What in the world? I just don't think the terminal tackle side of this rigging of it, maybe the side hooks are better, but the way this thing hits the casing on the inside, it's just not good. I mean, a nice slow swim, but still it's slightly sideways. I don't get this. I wonder if the snap is messing it up. It comes with the snap, but maybe it shouldn't need one. I mean, that'd be dumb if they sent one and they didn't want you to use it. But if we're gonna compare apples to apples here, the G-Flag does not have a snap, so let's try it out. All right, moment of truth, no snap. What does she look like? Honestly, swims a little better, but still glides the same way every single time. What in the world? How about if I let it sink 3, 4, 5, and then just rapid twitch? I mean, it looks good, but not what I'm wanting. Although one thing this bait does, the other one does not, is it does sit on its belly perfectly. So you know what? Maybe 2 small treble hooks on the sides on a more hard bottom, clean bottom pond is the way to go with this lure. But I'm gonna do one quick loop around, see if I can't catch one. But you know, I think I already know my answer as to which one of these 2 is gonna stay in my expensive bluegill arsenal. Oh my gosh, I've got something. What do I have? Giant bass, giant bass. Oh my goodness. As I started twitching it, what in the world? Okay. Wasn't expecting that. Was not expecting that. Holy cow. I was like, do I have a carp foul hook? No way. Okay. Well, something likes the 130. I'm not gonna lie, I was fully expecting to speed ramp the entire fishing section and head back to the studio. We got ourselves a 3.5, almost 4 pounder. What a healthy fish. And for about 10 casts, I had done nothing but straight retrieve this. Then on this cast, I let it sink all the way or close down to the bottom and was just twitch, twitch, twitch. And I guess even though it just went one direction, it was the right direction for this girl. My gosh, what a dang fight. See ya. You know what, I wanna look again at what the retrieve I was just doing looks like. I mean, it's definitely twitchy, but again, only in one direction. So is that a fish the G-Flag could have caught as well? Possibly, but I'm glad this thing works.
Well, besides that first big one, I didn't even get a follow on this thing the entire rest of the pond, and maybe it was the wrong conditions or the wrong time of day, but is this gonna replace the G-Flag 150 in my arsenal for this type of swim bait? No. Now, I am looking forward to trying this in the different alternate rigging way, but is it gonna replace it for the soft plastic bluegill glide bait? It's not. But really the purpose of this video was not to sell you on this individual lure, although I probably inadvertently did. The purpose, my goal, was to explain to you why expensive lures exist and maybe why investing in one or two for your arsenal might eliminate some of the occasional skunks. Not all of them, but just a few of them. Now, is every really expensive lure worth the price tag? Of course not. In high school, I was suckered into buying the Boing topwater lure that when it went side to side, it went boing, 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 and it did that, but it was a hunk of junk for $25. But if you scoff at the idea of a lure, any lure being worth more than $10 or $15, let alone $60, I hope this video encouraged you to maybe give it a try by saving up for a lure in a category that you love throwing. Could be a topwater, could be a swim bait, could be a jerkbait or a jig. Because for you, you may find that you catch a few additional fish because of that investment. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this episode of Tackle Time. It was definitely different than usual. But lately I've been in the swim bait mood, of course, because of my scaled up series where I test 2 brand new swim baits every single month. They're mysteries to me. I will leave the entire scaled up series over here in this corner. And my most recent masterclass, which has nothing to do with swim baits, the Nico Rig Masterclass, will be over here in this corner. As always, it is a pleasure. My name is Tyler. All the tackle I'm using, if these are even on Tackle Warehouse, are linked down in the video description. And we'll see y'all next time right here on TRF.